Gauteng has been identified as the province that is the most expensive to buy your groceries in. And this is, of course, across a national study. This was extrapolated by data compiled by the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. Sibusiso Mboto joins us now. He is with the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. Sibusiso, what does the data tell us around grocery costs across the different provinces, and why does Gauteng stand up top?
Good evening to you and your listeners. So what it really tells us is it's consistent. The high cost of food remains consistent throughout the year, regardless of the factors that you think that would probably affect the price thereof, whether it be the petrol price, whether it's the frost in the bomb and so forth. What we are seeing is a consistent high rise of food prices. The core food prices that we look at, the 44 of them across the country, they still remain very high and very unaffordable, especially to the low-income groups.
We've seen a slowing down of the rate of inflation, particularly food inflation and input cost inflation. Has that translated into the cost of groceries?
Unfortunately, it has not. And that has been our contention as to when food prices are on the rise, there are normally explanations that, look, the price of grain has risen owing to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, owing to this and that, the rise in oil prices. But we are never taken into confidence by the producers and the retailers as to the formula that they use. I'll give you an example. In the last 3 months, we would have seen a decrease in the fuel price. Now you would think that because fuel affects the movement of goods from the point of production to the point of consumption, that should then filter through to the consumer. But we have not seen that, and it's a concern. It's pretty much like you would see with transport in the public transport system, whereby high petrol price will be cited as the reason for the rise in the cost. But once it goes down, you're never given it never happens that suddenly there's going to be a decrease in travel costs.
Yeah. Do we need better price regulation instruments?
Our contention has been that government needs to step in here, step in the form of prompting a discussion with the producers and the retailers, so that we know as consumers what really drives food prices. Because there are just instances where you get a sense that the drive to increase the profit margin seems to override everything else. And unless we have a proper regulating mechanism, we are going to continue having such an experience, and such an experience, unfortunately, really affects the downtrodden, the most vulnerable of people within our communities.
The one institution that can do something is the Competition Commission, and subsequent to that, the Competition Tribunal, because they overlook things such as, or look over things such as rather collusive behavior when it comes to pricing, or exorbitant pricing that is unjust and undue. We saw them do this during COVID-19, for instance, when the price of garlic and ginger had soared as a result of high demand, but there were no increases in the input cost, for instance, and a order with a very serious effect was handed down. Why do we not see more proactivity from the Competition Commission in particular, but also institutions and organizations like yourself, urging the Competition Commission to be a lot more proactive?
That has been one of the initiatives that we've been driving, is to is to seek an audience with bodies like the Competition Commission, and try and get a meeting with the various portfolio committees that would work within the food chain in Parliament, whether you're looking at trade and industry, whether you're looking at agriculture, so that the end game there would be that we really read from the same script. We don't get a sense that somebody is being shortchanged at the expense of just because there is this eagerness to drive the profit margin. And so whenever there's an appropriate platform, so we try and express such a view that bodies like the Competition Commission should really now start to look at really, there's one point where you can just do an overview, but we really think that there needs to be a deeper analysis of what's happening within the food ecosystem in the country, so that at the end of it, we get to a position whereby we do not get a sense that some people are just there for the profit.
Yeah.
Fine, it's okay. We understand that businesses are there to make a profit, but at the same time, there needs to be an understanding that it's got to operate within a regulatory framework whereby there's not this thing that many people are experiencing at the moment, where they're just saying that we really can't afford the high food prices at the moment.
Yeah, Sibusiso, thank you so much for your time and your insights. I really do appreciate it. Sibusiso Mboto is an Advocacy Coordinator at the Pietermaritzburg Economic and Dignity Justice Group.